Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are jumping into something truly strange, a place where philosophy, critical theory, and some very, very deep occult practices all smash together. Our mission for you, the listener, is, well, it's pretty ambitious. We're going to try and synthesize three really dense concepts: hyper-reality, hyperstition, and chaos magic, to define this emergent system people are calling Hyper-Sothery.
And this isn't just theory for theory's sake. What we're really getting at in this deep dive is a very pointed question from the source material.
Which is?
How is a massive work of fiction, the Cthulhu Mythos, being used, right now, as a kind of self-fulfilling spell? One that's actually capable of altering our shared reality.
That's the absolute core of it, isn't it? The paradox. How can fiction, something we all know is made up, be more real than reality?
How can it become a technology?
Exactly. Okay, so to unpack this, we had to start at the bottom. The foundation. We need to talk about the environment we're supposedly all swimming in. Hyper-reality.
Right. Because if Hyper-Sothery is a spell meant to break reality, you first have to understand the nature of the reality you're trying to break.
So what is it?
Hyper-reality. It's a term from the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard. And it describes a state where simulations and symbols have become disconnected from anything real. They're more real than real.
I think we're all familiar with that old saying, the map is not the territory. But what Baudrillard is saying, and what this whole system is built on, is that that's flipped. The map has become more important, more influential than the territory it's supposed to describe.
It's become more real. We live our lives based on symbols and signs, things generated by media, by the internet. Think about social media or deepfakes.
Right.
We know so much of it is manufactured, but that digital simulation is what moves financial markets, what shapes elections. It has more force than the physical world we can actually touch.
Okay, so reality gets replaced by images that don't need to point back to anything real. And Baudrillard had a system for this, right? He talked about the evolution of these images, these simulacra.
Exactly. Simulacra are just copies, and they evolve in 4 stages. Each one gets a little further from the truth.
What's stage 1?
Stage 1 is the faithful copy. The image is a good reflection of a deep reality. Think of a religious icon that's meant to connect you to an actual deity.
Simple enough. What's next?
Stage 2 is the perversion of reality. The copy starts to distort or hide the truth it represents. Blatant propaganda is a perfect example. You take a real event, but you twist the image of it to serve a political goal.
So it's still connected to something real, but it's lying about it.
Exactly. Then stage 3 is pretense. This is where the copy pretends to represent reality, but it's completely fabricated. Think reality TV or a scripted courtroom show. It looks real, it feels real, but it's pure performance.
And then we get to the final stage, the one that really matters for this.
Stage 4, pure simulation. This is the copy that has no connection to any reality whatsoever, but it feels intensely consequentially real.
So like a theme park. Disney World.
Disney's the classic example, yeah. A perfect, self-contained world where the worst sin you can commit is breaking the illusion.
Or, to bring it to today, a deep fake video.
Perfect example. A video of a politician saying something they never said. It has no original, it's pure simulation, but it gets shared, it gets believed, and it actually affects how people vote. The simulation creates its own truth.
Wait, let me just lock that in. The simulation generates its own truth. So we're not using lies to hide the truth anymore.
No.
As Baudrillard said, the truth today just hides the fact that there is no truth left to hide. The simulation is all there is.
Precisely. And in this environment, this is where magic, specifically Chaos Magick, finds its footing. You're not trying to bend physics anymore. You're bending the rules of the simulation.
Okay, so if hyperreality is the stage, we need the engine. The thing that actually works in this weird world where fact and fiction are blurred. And that brings us to hyperstition.
Hyperstition. It's a fantastic word, a mashup of hyper and superstition. It came... It refers to an idea or a fiction that has a terrifying quality. It makes itself real.
It's like a mimetic virus.
It is. Once it's out there, the idea starts to subtly change things to make sure it comes true. It's a story with a fictional origin that guarantees a real consequence.
How does that actually happen, though, in the real world?
It's a collective process. It starts with repetition. A story gets told over and over again. Then comes ritualization actions that embody the belief, prayer, or even just the daily grind of a bureaucracy.
And then everyone starts believing it, so it becomes socially reinforced.
Right. And finally, it gets embedded in the material world. You build temples or stock exchanges, or you write laws based on the story. The story literally becomes the architecture of society.
The American dream is probably the easiest example to grasp.
It's a perfect one. It began as this mythic story, work hard, you'll succeed. It was repeated everywhere, reinforced by rituals like buying a home, and it ended up shaping everything from our education system to immigration policy. It's structurally real, even if it started as just an idea.
But hold on, this is where someone might push back and say, that's just sociology, that's good branding. Is calling it magic just giving a spooky name to something we already understand?
That's the crucial difference. Hyperstition isn't just a popular idea. It has this element of what they call retrocausality, a time loop.
Okay, explain that.
A hyperstition seems to pull its own cause out of the future. The clearest example is probably the technological singularity, AGI.
Superintelligent AI.
Right. The idea of this future superintelligence isn't just a passive prediction. It actively pulls our present toward it. It makes engineers and governments and investors make choices now that will inevitably lead to its creation. The future is causing the present that creates it.
I see. So a hyperstition isn't just a story that catches on. It actively rewrites the present to ensure its own birth. Which, okay, that leads us straight to magic.
It does.
If you live in a simulated reality and fictions can literally write themselves into existence, then that's a perfect playground for a magical system.
And that system is Hyper-Sothery, or sometimes Yog-Sothothery. It's basically a high-tech version of Chaos Magick built for the 21st century.
Let's define Chaos Magick first, because that's the operating system here.
Chaos Magick is all about result, pragmatism over dogma. Its core idea is that belief is a tool, not a truth.
Wait.
You don't have to genuinely, truly believe in, say, Cthulhu. You just have to believe in him for the purpose of the ritual. It's like changing the software on your computer. You can choose to believe in a god, or the stock market, or even Mickey Mouse if that belief helps you achieve a specific goal. If it works, it works.
Which makes the Cthulhu Mythos an incredible resource. It's this massive, globally recognized, emotionally charged set of symbols just sitting there ready to be used.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of the hyper-sigil comes in.
A normal sigil is like a single compressed symbol of intent.
Right. A static symbol. A hyper-sigil, a term from the comic writer Grant Morrison, is different. It's an entire narrative, a whole mythos that acts as a huge, evolving, dynamic spell.
So the Cthulhu Mythos isn't a picture. It's living software that's constantly being updated.
That's a great way to put it. It's a vast, unified hyper-sigil that has grown and mutated for a century through books, movies, games, memes. Every new piece of fan art, every new story adds a little more power to it, embedding it deeper into our collective unconscious.
Okay, so let's put the machine together. The sources are basically saying this. Hyper-Sothery is using the Cthulhu Mythos as a giant, self-expanding hyper-sigil that uses the viral logic of hyperstition to generate these powerful thought forms called egregores, which then act as portals in the fabric of hyperreality. Portals to the outside.
That's the whole mechanism. An instruction manual for engineering reality using a shared work of fiction.
Okay, let's talk about those portals. What exactly are these egregores?
Egregores are collective thought forms. They're psychic entities created when a lot of people share a belief or focus on the same idea. In this context, each of the old ones, Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, they start as egregores, gaining power as millions of people read about them and think about them.
But the system doesn't stop there, does it? It's not just saying they're psychological quirks.
No, not at all. It sees them as something far more real. They are apertures in the hyper-real membrane. And this gets us to the theistic hypothesis.
Which is?
The hypothesis is that the old ones are not just thought forms. They are actual, real entities that exist outside our universe.
Oh.
And our belief, our fiction, our mythos, it acts as a bridge. The stories are a map to the cracks in our reality. The egregores we build become anchors or avatars that these beings can use to reach through into our world.
So the process of hyperstition of the mythos bleeding from fiction into fact is the very mechanism that allows these beings to manifest in our simulation.
And the ultimate goal is what's called semiotic rupture, using the mythos to literally punch a hole through our consensus reality to open a direct line to the outside.
This all sounds absolutely terrifying. I mean, why would anyone want to do this? The entire philosophy of Lovecraft's cosmicism is that the universe is vast, indifferent, and that human life is meaningless. Ignorance seems like a much better option.
That's the central question, isn't it? For many practitioners, it's a kind of post-nihilist path.
Meaning?
If the universe doesn't care about you, if there's no cosmic judge, then there's also no external authority to tell you what to do. You're free to create your own meaning, your own significance, even if it's a terrifying one.
So it's a form of rebellion. If nothing matters, then I'll find power in that.
Exactly. It's psychological alchemy. You're taking your own existential dread and turning it into a tool. Plus, there's always the lure of contact, of touching the numinous, of gaining forbidden knowledge, no matter the personal cost.
This brings us to the final, really complex part of this, the practitioner's end goal, or realization, the metaphysical panopticon.
Right. So the original panopticon was a prison design from Foucault, where the guards are in a central tower and can see all the prisoners, but the prisoners can't see the guards.
So you have to assume you're being watched at all times and you start policing yourself?
Precisely. Now, Hyper-Sothery applies that idea to the cosmos. The practitioner realizes they are imprisoned inside this hyperreal simulation, but they are under perpetual, constant observation by the intelligences of the outside.
You can't see them, but you can feel their gaze.
You feel their attention through patterns, through synchronicities, through distortions in the simulation. And the realization isn't that you have to escape. You can't escape.
So what do?
You become useful to the jailer. The moment the practitioner realizes they are always being seen, they become a conscious aperture. The key move is called the rite of turning the gaze back.
A moment of defiant acknowledgement.
Yes. The practitioner intentionally signals back, I see that. You see me. And in that moment, you stop being a passive victim. You become an intentional beacon. You turn the cosmic gaze into a two-way channel, a gateway for the outside to flow through you into the hyper-real.
You turn yourself into a willing tool.
A terrifying acceptance of your place in the cosmos, yes. And this isn't just abstract. The sources talk about concrete methods, semiotic sigilcraft, reality drift operations. It's a system of action.
So, after this entire deep dive, what does this all mean? What's the takeaway? We've outlined Hyper-Sothery, the system that says, in a world made of media and symbols, a powerful fiction can become a technology for changing that world.
I think the final thought is that the goal here isn't to escape the prison of hyperreality. It might be impossible. The goal is to acknowledge the prison's architecture, to see the observation towers, and to rewire yourself so that the terrifying gaze from the outside becomes a channel for revelation. You turn the bars of your own cell into a broadcast antenna.
A phenomenal and frankly chilling synthesis. And it really does leave you with one final provocative question. If hyperstition is real, if powerful stories can rewrite the world, what cultural narrative are you unknowingly helping to manifest right now? Something to think about the next time you share a story that feels just a little too real.